Ladies, I want you to take a deep breath. You're not here because you're broken. You're here because you're healing. And today we're going to talk about how to erase him from your life, not with bitterness, but with power. And how, by doing that, you'll make him regret ever losing you. When a relationship ends, especially one where your heart was all in, the hardest part isn't just the absence of that person. It's the noise, the emotional noise of why, the urge to reach out, the need for closure, the pain of silence. But ironically, that silence becomes your greatest weapon. When you stop responding, when you stop explaining, when you stop trying to fix something that's already broken, you begin to take your power back. He's expecting chaos. He expects the messages, the long paragraphs, the late night calls that end in tears. He expects you to check his stories, to comment something cryptic, to send out "I miss you" text at 2 a.m. Because that's the pattern most people fall into. It's familiar, and familiarity breeds expectation. So when you go silent, that pattern is broken. Suddenly, the story he's been telling himself, that you'll always be there, that you're waiting in the wings, that he still has that power over your emotions, begins to unravel. This silence isn't passive. It's not weakness. It's intentional. It's loud in its own way. Think about it. When someone who once overflowed with emotion, with affection, with words, suddenly stops talking altogether, it hurts. It forces the other person to notice the absence they took for granted. Your silence forces him to confront something he probably never expected. The possibility that you're really done. And it's not just about not texting him. It's not just about avoiding his Instagram or not answering his calls. It's about mentally cutting the cord. It's deciding that you will not beg for explanations or attention or love. You will not allow yourself to sit in a waiting room for someone who already walked out. Because every time you go back to him, even if it's just to talk, you reopen wounds that were starting to heal. You teach him that he can come and go as he pleases. And worse, you teach yourself that you need his response to feel okay again. Your silence is about reclaiming peace. It's about giving yourself room to hear your own voice again, because when you're constantly reacting to him, his texts, his games, his indifference, you drown out your own truth. And the truth is this: no one who truly values you will leave you confused. No one who truly loves you will give you reasons to doubt it. But he did. And now you're done explaining why that hurt. You're done justifying your feelings. You're done asking for a conversation he's not emotionally equipped to have, because people change for who they want to change for. They show up when it matters to them. And if he couldn't do that for you, then let that silence speak the truth he wouldn't say out loud. He wasn't ready. He wasn't worthy. He wasn't yours to begin with. Here's the beautiful part though. Your silence creates space for him to sit with himself, to hear his own thoughts echo back at him. Without your words to deflect to, without your emotions to distract him, he's left with nothing but his own guilt, his own questions, his own memory of you. That's where regret is born. Not in the noise, not in the drama, but in the stillness you leave behind. And you, on your end, start to rise. You start to find clarity in the quiet. You begin to notice how much of your time and energy was spent trying to be enough for someone who didn't know how to receive it. You begin to see yourself again, not through his lens, not through his treatment of you, but as you are, powerful, loving, full of life. Your silence becomes the soil in which your self-worth starts to grow again. Because silence isn't about making him suffer. It's about setting yourself free. It's about refusing to be available to someone who made you feel optional. You're not playing games. You're making peace. You're choosing yourself. And you'll be amazed at how quickly your life starts to shift when you stop speaking to people who never listened in the first place. Let him wonder where you went. Let him sit with the realization that he lost someone who loved him deeply. Let him scroll through his phone and realize he deleted someone who would have done anything for him. That's not your pain to carry anymore. That's his story to live with. Your silence is the end of his control and the beginning of your healing. So stay quiet, stay strong, and let the absence of your voice speak volumes. Because one day he'll look round and realize you didn't just walk away. You disappeared like a quake. And that silence, that's the part he'll never forget. When someone leaves you, it can feel like the whole world has come crashing down. You question your worth. You replay every conversation, every moment, wondering what you could have done differently. But here's the truth. You don't rebuild your value by understanding why someone couldn't see it. You rebuild it by realizing they never deserved to hold it in the first place. Now is not the time to chase closure. Now is the time to chase yourself. Because the greatest revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's proving to yourself that you were never broken, just temporarily misplaced. Heartbreak has a strange way of waking us up. It strips us of distractions. It peels back the layers of illusion. And in that raw silence, you get to rebuild, not to become who you were before him, but to become someone stronger, someone wiser, someone he wouldn't even recognize anymore. Start with your mind. That's where the healing begins. The thoughts you repeat to yourself each day, they shape everything. You are not abandoned. You are not too much. You are not unlovable. You are a woman who gave deeply and authentically. And that's your strength, not your shame. So shift the narrative. Instead of thinking, why wasn't I enough for him? Ask, why wasn't he strong enough to keep a woman like me? Because that's the truth. A man who was truly ready wouldn't have let go. Now, take that energy and pour it into something that belongs entirely to you. Rebuild your confidence brick by brick. Get out of your comfort zone. Go to the gym, not to look good for him, but to feel powerful in your own skin. Strengthen your body, because a strong body reminds you of your inner strength. Sign up for that course you've been postponing. Learn a new language. Start a journal. Build something. These things may seem small, but they are acts of self-respect. They tell the universe, I am choosing myself. Every time you do something for you, you're silently rewriting your story. You're no longer the girl waiting for a text that never comes. You're the woman too focused on her goals to even notice he hasn't called. And let's be clear, this transformation isn't just physical. It's spiritual, emotional, energetic. You begin to vibrate on a whole new frequency, one that no longer matches the man who hurt you. And he'll feel that long before you ever see him again. He'll feel the shift. He'll sense the disconnect. Because when a woman stops orbiting around a man's attention, that man feels the emptiness. It might not hit him immediately, but it will. The absence of your energy, your effort, your love. It will echo in the spaces he never realized you filled. But by then, you won't care, because your eyes will no longer be on him. They'll be on your future. You'll be waking up early with purpose, laughing louder, smiling wider, not because you're trying to show off, but because you genuinely feel good again. You'll be surrounded by people who uplift you, passions that excite you, and a life that no longer revolves around someone else's validation. And here's the most powerful part. You won't be doing any of this for revenge. You won't be building yourself to make him jealous or to make him regret. You'll be doing it because you finally remembered who you are. Because you deserve to feel whole with or without a relationship. Because your value was never tied to how someone treated you. It was always there. You just forgot for a while. Let the mirror become your proof. Look at yourself, not with sadness, but with pride. Look at how far you've come, how you didn't let heartbreak destroy you, how you used it as fuel to rise. That's the version of you he'll never get back. The version who knows her worth, who doesn't beg, who doesn't shrink to fit someone else's comfort zone. He thought you'd fall apart. Instead, you transformed. And that transformation, that glow up, that confidence he never nurtured, that's what will haunt him. Not your anger, not your words, but your absence, your growth, the way you became everything he said you couldn't be without him. And you'll reach a point where you'll look back and smile, not because you miss him, but because that heartbreak was the beginning of something beautiful. It forced you to stop chasing love from others and start building it within yourself. It reminded you that no one, not even someone you once loved, has the power to define your future. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove anything to him. Just keep building, keep growing, keep rising, because nothing makes him regret losing you more than watching you become a woman who never needed him to begin with. There's something incredibly powerful about reclaiming your story. When you go through heartbreak, especially one that left you confused, betrayed, or abandoned, your mind becomes a loop of memories. You replay the good times, the laughter, the tenderness, and then, in the same breath, you replay the lies, the silence, the moments when you knew something wasn't right but didn't want to believe it. You keep telling the same story over and over again about how he hurt you, how you never saw it coming, how much you loved him, that every time you repeat that story, even in your mind, you give him power he no longer deserves. It's time to stop telling the story where he's the main character, because this is your life, and he was just a chapter, not the whole book. The more you send to him in your thoughts, your conversations, your sadness, the more you freeze yourself in a version of the past that doesn't serve you anymore. Yes, he was important. Yes, it hurt, but he is not the headline of your existence. He is not the defining plot twist of your life. Let's be honest, heartbreak tricks us into thinking that the pain is proof of how real the love was. So we cling to it. We replay the moments where things felt perfect, hoping that somehow, if we hold on to the good memories tightly enough, they'll make the ending make sense. But memories are not facts. They're just pieces of a puzzle that no longer fits. When you tell the story of your love with him, you edit out the parts that were quietly destroying it. The unanswered texts, the emotional unavailability, the mixed signals, the way you had to guess how he felt about you. That's not love. That's survival in disguise. When you stop centering him in your narrative, something begins to shift. You begin to see yourself again, not as someone who was left, but as someone who walked away from something that was not aligned with her worth. You stop asking, why didn't he choose me? And start saying, why did I stay so long where I wasn't seen? That question isn't about self-blame. It's about self-awareness, because healing isn't just about letting go of him. It's about understanding why you held on. Every time you catch yourself telling the same story to a friend about what he did, what he didn't do, what you wish he said, pause. Ask yourself, is this helping me heal, or is this helping me hold on? Talking is healing, yes, but repeating the same pain without purpose only keeps the wound open. You have to reach a point where you choose silence over obsession, peace over patterns, growth over grief. Instead of talking about him, start talking about you. Talk about what you've learned. Talk about how strong you've become. Talk about the way you're finally showing up for yourself. Let your story evolve, because you're not the woman who was left behind anymore. You're the woman who is rising in the aftermath. You're the woman who didn't let heartbreak harden her, but strengthen her. The truth is, he was never the source of your happiness. He was just someone you shared moments with. The real love you're seeking, that starts within. And that means making yourself the main character again. It means pouring your energy into the things that light you up, creating new memories that have nothing to do with him, wearing that outfit you used to save for his compliments, but now just because you feel good in it. Going to that restaurant you both loved, not to mourn the past, but to reclaim your space in the present. People say time heals everything, but that's not entirely true. What heals you is intention. You have to choose to stop reliving the past. You have to choose to rewrite your narrative. You have to say, he was part of my story, but he will not define it. That shift is where your power lives. So stop giving him the spotlight. Start living in your own light. Start making him the reason for your sadness and start becoming the reason for your strength. Your life is too big, too beautiful, too full of possibility to be built around someone who couldn't see your value. The most satisfying kind of regret someone can feel is the one that comes quietly, unexpectedly, and deeply, when they realize they can no longer access the version of you they once had, not because you became bitter, not because you tried to make them jealous, but because you evolved so far beyond what they ever imagined. Making him regret losing you forever isn't about revenge. It's not about staged photos, dramatic captions, or trying to make him feel what he made you feel. It's about becoming someone so whole, so untouchable, so undeniably radiant that the only thing he can do is sit in silence and remember what he had and lost. You don't make him regret by chasing him, by sending him long messages explaining your worth, or by begging him to understand what he threw away. That never works. It only feeds his ego, confirms his control, and keeps you trapped in the same emotional loop. Real regret comes when he sees your life moving forward without him, when he realizes you didn't crumble, you didn't beg, and you didn't break. You built, you healed, you grew, and you made peace. Think about how rare that is. Most people go through breakups with drama, bitterness, and games. But when you rise with quiet confidence, when you pour all the energy you used to give to him into you, something incredible happens. You become unforgettable, not because you tried to be, but because you no longer needed to be remembered. He will look at your peace and wonder how you found it without him. He will see your joy and question if he ever truly made you happy. That's when the regret starts. Not from your pain, but from your peace. You make him regret it forever by becoming unavailable, not physically, but emotionally, mentally, energetically. You stop reacting, you stop responding to his bait. You stop being the soft landing for someone who kept throwing you into chaos. The moment he no longer has access to your softness, your warmth, your loyalty, that's the moment he begins to feel the weight of what he lost. And the truth is, it's not even about him anymore, because by the time he realizes, you won't even want him back. That's the irony. Regret only hits when someone sees that their old ways no longer work on you, when he texts and you don't respond. When he watches your story and sees you glowing, not trying. When he hears your name and there's no longer a trace of pain in the air, only power. That's what haunts him. Not the memory of being loved, but the reality that he can no longer reach you. Not in the same way, not ever again. The path to that kind of power isn't quick or easy. It takes nights where you cry yourself to sleep. It takes mornings where you force yourself out of bed and remind yourself who you are. It takes 1,000 small decisions where you choose healing over hurting, growth over going back, and self-respect over temporary comfort. But every step you take is a step away from him and a step toward the version of you he never truly saw. And when you arrive there, at that place of clarity, strength, and inner peace, you won't need closure, you won't need revenge, you won't even need him to apologize, because his regret is no longer your concern. Your only concern is staying aligned with the life that no longer includes someone who couldn't love you right. Let him live with the image of you glowing, thriving, laughing with friends, creating, loving yourself. Let that be the echo in his mind when he lays down at night. Let him remember the way you cared, how loyal you were, how deeply you loved. Until you had enough, let him feel the emptiness of the space you used to fill. You were never asking for too much. You were simply asking the wrong person. And now that you stopped asking, stopped explaining, stopped giving, you've become a mystery. And nothing drives regret deeper than realizing you've lost someone who didn't even make a scene. You just disappeared. Quietly, completely. Like a woman who finally understood that her love was a gift, not a transaction. He will think of you, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day when the excitement fades, when he looks for depth and finds only shallowness, when he reaches for someone who doesn't reach back the way you did, he'll remember. He'll remember the softness in your voice, the way you looked at him like he was the only one in the world, the way you stayed loyal even when you were hurting. And that memory, that ghost of you, it'll follow him. But by then it won't matter to you, because you'll be too far gone, too in love with your new life, too focused on your future, too deeply connected to your own value. He had a chance, and he lost it. You didn't just erase him from your life. You replaced him with peace, with growth, with self-love. And that is the kind of regret that never fades.